Okay, for those of you that are getting on here, just ask me any questions and I'm happy to help and answer any questions that you have while I'm drawing this little fawn here, doing the finishing touches. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to help and answer them. Right now I'm just drawing this little fawn here, and it's all strictly in color pencils. I've been doing this for about 8 years now, and it is my most favorite thing to do is draw animals. So if you have any questions, just let me know. This has been pretty long drawing. It's taken me a couple of weeks, but that's mostly because I just haven't had the time to work on it. But I'm going to say this probably took me about 8 hours, maybe 10 hours to complete, and I'm definitely still not done. I need to add a lot more detail in here. How did I get good at drawing? A lot of trial and error. Years and years of practicing every single day. I'm self-taught, but I, had done some research on what kind of materials are, best for drawing realistically with color pencils. And so each color pencil artist, they choose their own kind of materials, whatever works best for them and what they're comfortable with. So it took me a couple of years to find the right materials that I really enjoy. And I use Faber-Castell color pencils, and then I use the Caran d'Ache Luminance brand as well. Those are both very pricey, but they're well worth it. So I will order them in bulk when I do order them. But I make them last as long as possible. And then the paper that I use, it's really nice. It's the Bristol vellum paper, but I just ended up, figuring out what kind of materials I like, and then figured out the best methods of layering over time. So I freehand everything I do. I do a really quick trace, but I freehand everything else. So I just figured out, kind of train my eyes to draw proportionally, and I'm pretty good at picking out colors. So that's another thing that just ends up going hand in hand over the years as I practice. Doing an artist competition. Yeah, I've always I think art is very subjective. So it's kind of hard to compete because everybody has a different viewpoint on art. And what one person may like, the other one may not like. So it's very hard to at least in my opinion, to compete with one another. Like even in school, you go to art school and you get graded and whatnot. It's really not fair to some artists, because there are some artists out there that are actually, just like very good at what they're doing, but it's not like what you're expecting. So realistic, or that looks really beautiful or whatever. It could like look very abstract and people call that art, and some people don't like that, but some people do. So it's kind of hard to have competitions unless it's like a realism competition or something. I guess if you're going specific, yeah, that would be fun to do. But I'm a loner and I just like doing this on my own a lot of the time, and I just use YouTube, sometimes Facebook, sometimes Instagram, but mostly YouTube to share my art. And then I also have a lot of online classes on my website and my YouTube channel. This YouTube channel here, I have specific videos that I give you like tips and tricks on how to draw specific animals. I also kind of provide like helpful business tips and materials as well, so just things like that. But I try to make it interesting. I'm definitely a more boring person, so my videos are better for like people that can handle long form content. So if you are interested in learning to draw, definitely go check it out. And like most of the videos are anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes long most of the time, so it's definitely something you have to like sit down and just listen to, especially if you are interested. You're an artist, awesome. I love the artist community, especially on YouTube, because there are so many people that are trying to express themselves, and they just get so muddled in with other social media platforms like Instagram. It's just not great for actual true artists, because it's now just more of a I don't know what you would call it, for like creators instead, content creators and models and whatnot. And it's just really sad, because it used to be more for artists, but not so much anymore. So I don't really focus in very much on Instagram anymore, and I wasn't getting much benefit out of it anyway. Like my biggest fans are actually local people, and I have a pretty big subscriber list too, so I just kind of work with email subscribers specifically. I work with local people a lot of the time, and I do a lot of the farmers markets and stuff, so people know me like a lot more locally than anything else, and I love it, but it can be really tiring too at the same time, because I'm trying to grow my business even though I have another full-time job now. So I've had to put this aside, unfortunately, more than I would like. But I'm hoping that I can, dedicate, when I have a small amount of time, like maximize that, be smart about my timing, and utilize it so that things like this where I'm going live, so that you guys can enjoy me drawing and also potentially be interested in learning to draw, because I have a lot of online content that would be really helpful for others that are interested in the category, which is such a narrow niche too. So that's probably why I'm not growing very much. It's just a very, very narrow niche, and I'm not one of those like YouTubers that's super interesting or full of excitement and whatnot. It's more for the calmer crowd, essentially. How much do I charge? It varies depending on the size. So like the little 4x4 sizes. They're about $300 for a pet portrait commission, or if you want a wildlife one, those are for originals. If you're wanting art prints, I have that on my website, and the little 4x4s are $12 for a print, but I can go bigger from there. So like an 8x10 is about 800, either 800 or $850. And then this size, which is 11x14, this is a little over $1,000. And I think that I'm not pricing them too high, honestly, because I have increased my prices over the years. And I know my value, and I'm not going to go down on my price just so I can get more buyers. I'm definitely more for art collectors, not necessarily for every single common folk, if that makes sense. Now, I do offer payment options, so I do offer split pay, so you don't have to necessarily pay all at once, but that is something that I value. I put a value on myself that's a little bit higher than most people, but that's also because I've been doing this for a very long time, and I still have people that commission me for work quite a lot. So it's really just up to what you value yourself. If you're thinking about selling your own art too, don't go too low, because you'll end up burning out and you'll end up in the crowd where everybody wants everything for free. You definitely don't want to end up in that situation, because that's how I started out too. But if you're looking for art prints, I have all that on my website. If you go to laurenkleinart.com and then go to shop art prints, I have all sorts of different wildlife options and different sizes. Those are the ones that I sell at local markets, and that's what I really focus on at this point. That's more of my other part-time job, really, because I do it about once a week. But yeah, just ask me any questions. I'm more than happy to answer. I have done a white-tailed deer before this, and now I'm just doing the little fawn, the white-tailed fawn. Before drawing, I was into photography, so I was kind of doing wedding photography, landscape, portraits, just anything and everything that I could take pictures of. And I tried to make it, turn it into a business, but I quickly found out like I get burned out very easily by doing like the wedding photography and stuff. I'm such a homebody. I don't like going places, so I don't mind going to and from work and whatnot, but I don't want to be traveling all over the place. So I ended up figuring out real quickly that was not for me. And then I was trying to figure out, okay, I want to have my own business, but what do I want it in? And I've been really interested. I was really interested in different art mediums, like trying to figure out something that I could do while I had some downtime. And that's when I discovered that you can draw realistically with colored pencils. So then I started playing around with different different types of color pencils, but also different paper. And then I drew my very first, it was a beetle, and I actually still sell that one as an art print to this day. People really love that one, but that's what really got me hooked into it. And then I started to get into pet portraits just after that because I drew my sister's dog, and everybody liked that one and made comments and asked me to do their pet. So I started charging a really low price and just started drawing people's pets, and that's how I got better. And over the years, I just started to increase my commission pay. And yeah, I did burn out from doing commissions because it's just one pet after the other. But what really kept me going is just knowing that I'm doing this to, help a family out. And I love the family's reactions. And it's something that's really nice that they can enjoy for their own pet, especially if it's like a memorial pet portrait. And that was really my biggest motivation over time, was even though I was getting burned out, I still liked doing it and still offered pet portrait commissions because it's something that's very endearing to them, and I still wanted to do that for them. But let me know if you have any questions. I'm not getting any more questions right now, but I'm still here and I'm more than happy to answer. But I'm glad that you guys are sticking around and watching me fumble along. I am definitely not liking this area, but it looks a lot like the image, so that's better than nothing. I like to layer using different colors too, so I'm putting some green in here. I'm hoping that'll change it up some. I don't know. We'll see. Add it in here. This is the part that looks the most undone. My name is Lauren. It's the same name as my business, so that makes it easy. When I had my photography business, I didn't have my name as it. Just some, name that I picked for my email a long time ago when I was a kid, and I kept with it. I just think it's funny how far along I've come since then. But I'll say the legal side of things is definitely challenging to understand and whatnot for owning a business. But luckily, my business is low risk compared to other things. Okay, so you're saying you want to make a small project with some people, like a local guide or small movie studio. Yeah, I think it would be really cool to go and interview local artists, and you can make it into a video, or do like a newspaper or an article or something if you've got a website that you could put it on, or ask to put it on your local newspaper website, or any local websites period, or even like social media. So if you've got a local your town has a local social media website, ask them, hey, I'm doing this thing where I'm interviewing local artists, could I collaborate with you? And that's one good way to first get your name out there, and then for two, also get other artists' names out there. You could do the same thing with like videos too, so or both, honestly. So you just, while you're working on it, turn it into a video, or use the clips from the video and turn it into an article of some sort. But that's a really great idea. And I think a lot of local artists would be very appreciative of getting recognized. I've been in a couple different local newspapers and channels and YouTube channels as well, so it's fun, and it definitely makes the artist feel appreciated when they get recognized like that. Yeah, like, just if you've got some friends that are artists already, that's definitely an easy in. And then see if you can collaborate with a already established local newspaper or news channel or something along those lines. That way you can get your name out there and the artist names. See, for me, my advertising is being in local markets, and it helps a lot. People love my work, and they start to recognize my art from other customers that have purchased it, and they have it in their office space or something like that, and they're like, hey, I recognize that art. And then they want to purchase my art because they've seen it already in somebody else's wall. This is turning out a lot better now. Do I feel the difference in which side of the brain I operate from? Honestly, no. But I will tell you, I feel way more focused and more clear-headed when I'm drawing. It's almost like a form of meditation for me when I am, like, I get into the zone and I don't have to think nearly as much. That's why I really, really like drawing, is I get into this, just the moment of it, and it calms me down. But I will say, in the beginning, for the first year or two, it didn't. I really got actually worked up and frustrated for a good while, but it was still a really good challenge that I knew I had to keep going with. There was something about it I got hooked onto, and it's like, I need to keep going. I need to keep practicing, because I loved doing it. I loved figuring out the methods. That's really the thing. One thing that really frustrated me ultimately is not understanding the methods, the techniques of using color pencils. But once I figured out the techniques that worked for me, then it's just a breeze from there. I'm not saying every subject is a breeze though, because there are still some that are very challenging. Like this year, this was really tough for me to do, and I'm still looking at it like, what the heck is this mess? But no, I don't know. I've never even thought about that. But now that you've got me thinking about it, maybe I should pay more attention. I wonder if I could feel which side's working more. Okay, what gears are working in my head when I'm drawing? Left side or right side? Maybe a little bit of both. Okay, teenagers can definitely do this. I have had several teenager students try this out, and quite a few of them actually have a really good natural talent and drive, and their results were even surprised me. So yes, absolutely. Any advice for drawing? Sorry, I'm reading the comments. Yeah, well, there's a lot of advice that I could tell you. One is when you think you're done, keep going. Or when you think it looks like a sketch. So if you can see like any of the little white specks from underneath, like the tooth of the paper showing through, keep going because you can build up those layers and actually get rid of that once you've got a nice waxy coating going on. Also, you want to draw lightly with lighter colors first and then build up your pressure and colors as you go along. So you don't want to accidentally draw too heavy in a area that's supposed to be lighter, and if you make a mistake while drawing lightly, it's a lot easier to fix it by either erasing a little bit of it or using a different color that you needed to use anyway. It's just a lot easier to fix. Oh, like the drawing part. But the project, I don't know. If they're, willing to be a part of it, yeah. I mean, teenagers, if they're talented and they want to be a part of the project, definitely for sure. But I was talking about like learning to draw. Teenagers can definitely learn to draw something like this too. Yeah, I'm just trying to get a good sense of depth, and I'm struggling in this general area. I think because I've applied too many layers, now it's just looking like a waxy mess. But what's fun is that I can just take a picture of this, turn it into a print, and it'll look slightly better than the original. Sometimes, not all of them do, but I have not. See, I've made a lot of prints of my originals over the years, so when I go back and look at my originals, I'm like, ooh, that looks a lot better than the print. I forget how good they look over time because I'm always looking at the prints. But I always recommend when you're starting out to draw small portraits first because you'll start to, as you finish more projects, you'll start to see a bigger difference in your progress than if you were just drawing like big ones and then completing those and moving on to the next one a lot sooner than. So you have more motivation because you're completing it sooner and seeing results sooner than if you're completing bigger ones. And drawing small kind of forces you to focus in on like, I don't know how you say it, focus in on the proper techniques because there's very little room for error. There's very little room for error in general with color pencils, but especially when you're drawing small. I wouldn't say it's more or less challenging than drawing bigger. They both have different challenges of their own, but I do think you'll end up being more motivated if you finish smaller portraits first and then work your way up to bigger ones. But if you're new to watching this right now, just ask me any questions. I'm more than happy to help. I really want this one to look good. When I draw bigger, I always have like more of a, I'm more hard on myself when I'm drawing bigger because I want it to look more realistic because I know that I've got the room to do so. And if it looks like crap, then I'm not gonna, I'll be a little bit more judgmental on myself. But what artist is not judgmental on themselves? And I'm constantly telling other students and artists to not be so judgmental on themselves, but here I am doing it to myself. You are your own worst critic or best critic, so just keep that in mind too. Like, it's always good to have another person looking at your art to give you a good constructive criticism, so long as you've got somebody that you can trust that's going to be honest with you and not just be like, oh yeah, that looks good, I don't see that you need to change any of it. I hate that. I'm like, I really want some real honesty here. Yeah, thank you. How does one not be so hard on oneself? Yeah, for real. I do. I feel like just life in general, we are our own worst critics. I guess the only way to really be less critical is just being aware of it. Be like, well, at least I know I'm not alone in being judgmental and critical on myself. It's just the nature of being a human being. I really could keep going on this thing, but at some point I gotta put the pencil down. Alright, I'm gonna pop off here. But I'll be back probably tomorrow around the same time frame, maybe a little bit later. I will see you tomorrow.
Like the alarm. Yeah.